thousands and thousands of people at Mason Park, and they're all outdoor picnicking and drums. And so on the 13th day, it's considered good luck to be outside, be with friends and family, and be near water, and be singing and dancing and lots of music. One thing I've learned being married to an Iranian man is Persians know how to party. They know how to love and to dance and to sing and to just have a good time, and it's all about enjoying life. And that's one of the things I love about that culture. So people think of it as the Persian New Year, but it is actually not a holiday of Islam. It is actually a holiday of Zoroastrianism. Right now, there are 1.2 billion people of the Islam faith on earth, and those of the Zoroastrian is down to, I looked at the number this morning, I think it's 2.6 million. So quite a smaller number significantly. Zoroastrianism was the predominant religion of the whole Mesopotamia area before Islam came into being. During the revolution in the late 70s and early 80s, the new Islamic government in Iran tried to stamp out this new year because it was a Zoroastrian belief, but the Persians wouldn't have it. This is too much importance for them. So it does go back to Zoroastrianism and the founder being Zoroaster. When I tuned into his energy this morning, as I do in each of these services when we're bringing somebody in, I didn't expect him to come in. I actually asked for anybody of a high priesthood of Zoroastrianism to come in and give me some messages about this, but he himself came in. I was really surprised. And what he showed me was that the 2 weeks or the month before the new year is a really pious time. And it's a time, the reason the mirror is there is it's a time of reflection. So just like we understand with the Mayan calendar that we've been in a 2,000-year Piscean age, that is what the new year is. It is the end of the month of Pisces, going into the month of Aries. And any of you born in the month of Pisces, it's not supposed to be considered that you're from a dark era. It's a time of reflection. It's a time of darkness before light, but not in a bad way. It's simply a time to go in and reflect and be quiet. And so what he showed me was, and he was a very, very solemn priest, this Zoroastrian. He showed me that in the weeks preceding the new year, the last couple of weeks of winter, this is a time to reflect on what happened the year before. Look at the crops, look at the people, look at what happened, see if there was anything that was done that could be done better, and to find out what parts of us contributed to anything, the demise of something that we saw. And so he showed me this image of him being in prayer and holding himself with his head down, really going inside and finding out if there was something in him that could be improved in the coming year. And so a period of 2-week reflection, and then on the new year at the mark, 2 weeks of partying and light and celebration of our ability to inner reflect and improve ourselves. And that was what he told me, that it wasn't so much about animals and plants and coming out and winter ending, but a celebration of the ability to inner reflect and come out anew. And it's tough sometimes, isn't it, when we're in situations, people at work and family and friends, and we're butting heads. Our instinctive thing is to reflect and point out and find out what the other person is doing wrong. And it's not usually our first instinct to go inside and say, how am I contributing to this? But that is the most important element of a true resolution, is we have to have the courage to find out what part of us is creating that scenario. And our ego is here to tell us we need to survive. And when we go back to the very basic survival of humanity, it used to be a really harsh world out there without all the modern conveniences, and we need a tribe to survive. We need to be a part of a tribe. And if we were alone and kicked out of tribe, it usually meant death. So to acknowledge that we did something wrong, that we were at fault, puts us at risk of being kicked out of tribe. And so there's this basic survival instinct in us. We're not people that live in denial, but there's a part part of us, it's a basic instinct that says, if I'm wrong, if I'm at fault, if I created something bad, I could get kicked out of tribe and then I'll die. So our ego comes in and wants to protect us from death and says, I didn't do anything wrong. And so there's a part of us that we have to get past that. We get past that by being connected to Source and reaffirming in every cell of our body that we're safe. And when we embrace the understanding that we exist as divine beings in perpetuity, in grace, that we are not something that can be stamped out and taken away, when we understand that complete and total connection to Source, I live in a safe universe. I taught a theta healing class a couple of years ago, and one of the gentlemen, he's going to be here for the activation at the end of March, Mark Peebler. His little 9-year-old daughter was in the class with us, and she was my youngest student ever to give a theta healing certificate to. And during class, this out of the mouth of a 9-year-old, because she's now about 14 or 15, I think, she said this phrase, we live in a safe universe. And I turned and I heard that phrase, and every cell in my body shifted and resonated, and I took that phrase into my being. I live in a safe universe. I live in a universe where my consciousness is not at risk at being stamped out or forgotten or put aside or disintegrated in any way. And so no matter what I do, no matter what I learn, no matter what mistakes I make, no matter what I create, good or bad or indifferent, I live in a safe universe. I cannot be ostracized from tribe. It is safe for me to reflect and find out if I contributed to something that I can now look at and start making improvements on. It is safe for me to look at all the parts in me. And so I would ask you, do you feel safe? Do you recognize that you live in a safe universe? Do you know that nothing can happen to you? And that it's okay for you to look at all the parts of you, and you're human. Can we think of anything more ironic than coming into this human experience with the point to learn, but then having no experiences that cause us to grow and learn? That's not the way it's going to work, is it? We get challenges. We get parts of divinity kind of hidden from us so that we can go on the journey of finding them. We must look at our journey and say it's absolutely perfect for us. And instead of lamenting over the things that we learned, celebrating them. Instead of being in despair that we have things to learn, celebrate that that's what we came here for. And so that's what Zoroaster, his message to me this morning is reflect and celebrate. Reflect and celebrate. Celebrate when you have that ability to go inside and have the courage and say, okay, I'm going to see something in there and it might not be pretty. And I might not be proud of it. And I might not like it when I get there, but it's okay. It's okay to see that part of me. And I know sometimes when we finally do have the courage to look at a part of us, we kind of go, oh, I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I did that. Look at where it came from. What part of you was in darkness, in separation from light, that caused you to believe that? And then celebrate the fact that you have the courage to look at it and bring light to it. And forgive yourself for having a part of you that simply was in darkness instead of in light. Because what is darkness? Think of the earth. Think of the spring equinox. Think of the sun looking right at all the direct light going right at the equator, and half of the earth being immersed in sunlight, in light, and the other half is in darkness. What happens? The earth rotates, and that part that is darkness It's just in its time. It's rotating, and everything about you that is in darkness right now, at some point in time, will come into lightness. That is the circle of life. And so when you look at it, you are simply bringing in new light, and you have the ability to change anything about your life. Reinvent yourself. Introduce yourself to the best version of yourself, and understand that that part that's in darkness, when you look at that, is amazing. The freedom that comes, the absolute, complete, total freedom that comes when you've got the courage to look at that little part of you that owned you up until the time you had the courage to look at it in the face, and then it doesn't own you anymore. It's a beautiful thing. This table will show up, we'll continue to have this for 13 days, and it's a beautiful time of year. We're going over to see family tonight at the end of the evening. It's a fun time of year. We didn't do the spring cleaning part, well, when I looked at it this morning, I went, oh, we forgot that part. Oh, well.
Next year.
We did actually kind of clean up for like 2 weeks ago. We had COVID coming in town. So let's take a moment and let's reflect. And you can do something small, you can do something large, it really doesn't matter. But why don't you just take a few minutes and breathe through and have some reflection. And just tell me what to do. You don't have to, because does it distract you? Okay. So if you feel like bringing in the energy of Zoroaster, also called Zarathustra, if you feel like connecting with that energy, if it feels like it resonates with you, let's call him in. I can feel his presence here already. If that doesn't resonate with you, you prefer to call in your guides or your guardian angels, whatever's perfect for you. Our mantra here is everybody's spiritual journey is a highly personal one. So bring his energy in if you want to. Breathe. Asking him to come into your presence, to show us his wisdom, his ways, his truth, his knowledge, his methods, all that he's learned on his existence on this earth plane and in the astral plane, of what can come into our lives when we have the courage to reflect and go inside and see truth, inner truth without judgment, without shame, without guilt, without regret or feelings of rejection or resentment, to show us what it feels like to have the courage and the ability to reflect, to go inside, to become intimate with ourselves. Intimate means into me I see intimacy. When we are intimate with ourselves, we have the ability to be intimate with others. Seeing this as a natural course of human experience, getting comfortable with what it feels like to go inside and to truly know yourself. And once you do that, celebrate who you are. Asking Zoroaster's energy to come in and show us what it feels like to have that kind of courage. To know we're safe. To know it's okay. To know it's private. And that we can keep that to ourselves if we choose. We are not obligated to share our personal intimacy with anyone else, unless we feel it's relevant. You can have a ambitions, goals, even your own pain, things that you regret. Go in there and get to know them and explore them. Go deep into yourself. Creating this time for yourself. It doesn't have to be all at once. You can explore pieces of your inner self, one element at a time. Really celebrate who you are. The freedom, the power, the empowerment, the personal empowerment that comes from this inner knowledge, from this inner peace, from this courage. When you have the power and the courage to face that which inside of you, nothing else will seem scary to you at all. It is only our own fears of ourselves that cause fear to others. Become your own closest friend. Take that time to get to know yourself. And as each new acknowledgement and piece of information comes to surface, celebrate it. Turn it into something positive, something empowering, something beautiful about you. And even if it's something that you think might not be one of your best attributes, love it anyway. And say, well, I'm stubborn, or I have a bad temper, or I this or I that. It's just who I am. We are a mixture of opposing directions and traits that create the magnificent being we are. Loving all parts of ourselves, not seeing any part of that as bad, just as a trait. Remembering what this feels like. You now have tools to do this on your own. Taking time when you do your meditation, taking time to reflect and then to release. When you open your eyes, introduce yourself to a part of you. Now that you've gotten to know yourself on a deeper level. Whenever you're ready, open your eyes. Everybody's eyes are really wide. Isn't that an amazing thing to do? To really spend time getting to know yourself. You are amazing. You're intelligent, kind, loving, giving, sharing, courageous, passionate. You are all amazing people. Get to know yourself. Really see how beautiful you are. You hear me talk all the time about self-judgment and the way we talk to ourselves, and governing and catching if we say, oh, I'm so stupid, or I'm so this, and how much that brings our energy down. Really getting in there and getting to know yourself. I've been called stubborn for years, and I've always said, I'm not stubborn, but you know what? I am. It's who I am. It's a part of me. It's also served me in many ways. There are times when I wouldn't let go of something, and it worked out really well. Other times, maybe not so worked out so well. But it's served me as many times as it hasn't served me, and I do hold on to things, and I do have an idea. And this building is here because I held on to an idea. Because I wanted it, because I wanted to create it, because I believed in it, and I wouldn't let it go. So from this building came from many of my attributes, but one attribute was the stubbornness, that I just knew I could do it, even though people were telling me I couldn't. So yeah, I'm stubborn.
maybe more positive for you, tenacious.
Tenacious, ambitious, but I mean, you can take all those words, and sometimes the tenacity might have wavered, and it was the stubbornness that maybe, kind of held the tenacity and gave it new life, but it's a part of me, and, it's just a part of who I am, and instead of denying it and being ashamed of it, I'm going to embrace it. What part of you? And I say, we are as a potpourri of things. And to strive to maybe only be the most positive things, I think that's great, but I'm not sure if it's completely attainable in this physical being. So maybe the most empowering thing we can do is just take all the parts that are of us and consider them strength. And consider them perfect.
Or at least accept the parts of us that we may not.
And the only discernment is this part of me serving me more often than not? And really ask if that part of you is serving your higher nature, your happiness, your health, your wealth, your well-being in relationships. Find out if it's serving you. And if it's not serving you more often than not, then maybe you want to look at it and shift and find out if there's a way that you can take that and catapult it into a way that it does serve you. But the most important thing is to be proud of who you are, to be empowerment, and to really get in there and get to know you, and to not be ashamed of any part of you at all. And that's what he showed me. That what this celebration is all about is taking that time to reflect, seeing and getting in there, being intimate with it, and then celebrating what you find. Put a whole new twist on it. Yeah, it's about good food and partying too. And that's going to be fun. But it's the Piscean age. It's not a dark age, it's a night. And I finished teaching Theta Healing and came in here and just Saturday. That was awesome, what you guys did. When Seth gets going, and you've seen him bounce up and down and get going and go into it. Everybody, all the musicians were just looking to Seth, following your lead. And you would definitely bring up all the energy. It went for like 45 minutes, the music portion of it,
And then there was more music as the night went on.
I left after Stephen Farmer. It's been a long day, but I was glad I got to participate in that. So, and Ron was saying that we're only a couple of weeks away from now having the door open. Remember when we first got in and it was summer, we'd be able to have the door open and listen to all the birds and the sunlight. So a couple more weeks we'll be opening the door. But it's going to be fun.
And last night was an interesting celebration with all the mediums.
Yes, last night that John Hirano, who is the founding pastor, forgive me, I've forgotten the name. It's a spiritual church in Long Beach. Do you remember? ISC. Inspirational Spiritual Center.
Yeah, ISC.
Yeah. Inspirational Spiritual Center. John Hirano and his partner ran the center for years, and he's very sick, and he's retiring and to live out the last time of his life with his partner, and they're closing the center. And so Deborah Hookey called in, so 10, 15 mediums. Were you here last night?
Yeah.
How many? They had 10, 15 mediums?
Yes.
And the Temple of Light, we donated the space to them for the cause, and allow them to have all the proceeds go to John Hirano.
How many chairs did you buy for the temple?
200?
200? Because they were like all full.
Wow.
There was no sitting room. I mean, it was completely, I've never seen so many people in this room.
Tanya told me that they raised over $3,000 last night for John Hirano.
Great.
So that will help him. But anyway, so they're closing the center down, and that's what I love the community that we're in, that we can step up and do a helping hand like that, and anything we can do to help them in their journey. It's tough having a center sometimes. It's been, Adam looked at me the other night and he said, "You look like you're finally coming out of your stress." And I said, I said 11 months ago when we looked at this building and all the construction and the permits and the city of Irvine and getting in and dealing with property taxes and getting it decorated, it took 11 months, but I'm finally I feel like I can relax. And took the afternoon yesterday and went outside and walked around and it's been a long journey. So I really take my hat off to John Hirano. I know how much work it is to put into running a center like this, and I was really pleased that we were able to help him in some way. So good for him. We do have a couple of upcoming events. The Cosmic Reunion is the last weekend in March. They were here last fall at Snail Gore, Ilya Nabutovsky, I think, said his name right, and Seoul. And they are bringing in both days of the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and evening, and music, and meditations, and speakers. And I believe the entrance fee is $66 for a weekend pass. It's on our website. And they have just got some of the most wonderful speakers. Laura Eisenhower is going to be there, Mark Peebler, and several others. And I'll be part of the speaker lineup on Sunday morning. So for those of you that come to Sunday services, same thing as we did last time. You can come into Sunday services and not have to pay the pass for the weekend and just come in for the portion that I'm doing on Sunday morning. And the Holistic Healing Fair is April 6th. And when is your next Sunday concert?
It was the third Friday, I think.
So it's 25th. So it's coming up, yeah.
Yeah, the third Friday in April will be a summer healing journey.
So, and our Academy of Light School is really taking off, and we got some wonderful, wonderful classes. Do we want cards? Yeah, we'll pass them out. You can take a card. If you would like me to give you an interpretation, I'd be happy to. If you prefer to keep it private, that's perfectly fine. Or if you'd like me to interpret to you for you afterwards, that's perfectly fine too. Did you get the same card? You're kidding. Same card? Did you really? Okay. That happens. Now, Adam has just pulled from the deck the same card as he did the last two times. Now, if you're a statistician and you multiply 44, which is how many cards are in the deck, so you've got a 1 in 44 chance of pulling a card. The chances of pulling that card twice are 44 times 44, which is something around 88,000. And the chances of pulling the card a third time, if you multiply 44 times 44 times 44, is something like a couple million. I haven't had my calculator out, but I mean, so when Spirit wants to give you something and you don't listen, or for some reason it's really important that you pay attention to it. So he's just pulled the same card.
What's the card?
I should have been here past 2 weeks to know. It's detached from drama.
Let's see.
It's detached from drama.
Oh.
Detached from drama?
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of drama in your life right now?
Better head towards a comedy.
I'm not sure if I have time for drama these days, but
And there was a couple of times Vance will pull the same card in a row. So when they want to get your attention, So, I teach all the theta healing classes and the conscious anatomy classes, and they're fairly serious classes that have manuals and agendas to them and a lot of material that we have to cover, and they're very academic in nature. But I decided the other day that I need a breather from those kinds of structure, and I decided once a quarter I'm going to teach a class, Channeling the Ascended Masters, where we use these cards. Just something that's fun and kind of takes its own course, and we'll do a one-day class where we're just pulling these cards and tuning into the energy. I think it's a lot of fun. Most people that channel do 4 or 5 or one main entity. They choose one master or one person that they work with. I personally think it's fun to learn how to hone your skills, to tap into many of them. And that's what we do here on Sunday services, is we bring in the energy of a different master or person each time. I was really surprised that Zoroaster himself came in this morning. So if anybody would like their card interpreted, I would be happy to. What do you have?
The teacher?
Teacher, and his name is?
I can't pronounce it.
Spell
Do you want to see it?
I think it's... Teacher is, Mahashwapan Rajosi. Yes. Okay. This is about teaching yourself new things. Most of the time this card comes up, it's about asking people to step into being a teacher. But what he's actually saying is that he wants you to do some self-education in an area of work that you've been expressing a personal interest. And that for you to get books and read things on the internet, and that it's not going to be long before you become